And our top story this evening on India Today is the horrifying incident that's been reported from Bengaluru's Koramangala, known, of course, to be a hub of where all the youngsters reside and where you'll see many, many PGs. And this one that you see on your screens, there was a horrifying incident that took place of a young girl, 22-year-old Kriti Kumari, being stabbed to death. Her throat was slit by this man who's yet to be identified by the police. This 22-year-old was in her room when suddenly this man barged in and started attacking her. And mind you, this incident happened a couple of days ago on July 23rd. So up till now, there's been no crackdown by the Bengaluru police. They've not been able to find this killer. He entered into Kriti's PG. First, there are questions about how he managed to get entry into a woman's PG. He was armed with a knife. He then entered her room, dragged her out of her room. And we have all of that on sequence on camera. And then starts stabbing her incessantly and violently. The intention was very clear. It was to kill young Kriti. He finally slits her throat. And you can see through that entire sequence that Kriti is fighting for her life, trying so hard to fend him off. And she was stabbed in the face, in the chest, in the shoulder, in the neck. Anywhere, essentially, that the killer could get to her, he stabbed away. And again, like I said, the intention was clear. It was to kill her in the most brutal manner. The accused, after doing that, actually runs away from the spot. So you see the final cut, the final stab, where he slits her throat after holding her face. And then you see him running off. There's no attempt to stop him. He manages to get out of the PG and even now is on the loose. The cops have not been able to nab him just yet. So in 3 days, God alone knows where he is. He could have fled out of Bengaluru, out of Karnataka. You can see in the last few moments as well, after the attack, Kriti is struggling there. She's seeking help. There are hostel mates who come out. None of them come to her rescue. And she died on the spot. So far, the police have said that the deceased was working in a private company. Kriti Kumari, 22 years old, was living in Bengaluru, making a living in the city while she hails from Bihar. So she was staying in this accommodation in Koramangala. The police have the CCTV footage that we're showing you on your screens as well. But like I said, they're yet to track down the accused.
At the 6th block of Koramangala's VR layout stands the building where the gruesome murder of 24-year-old Kriti Kumari, a native of Bihar, took place last night between 11 to 11:30 p.m. As per the police data collected, a boy, on the pretext of being a delivery agent, comes to deliver a parcel. And he's let into this building, goes up to the 3rd floor where Kriti Kumari was living, murders her, and just escapes scot-free. 15 to 16 hours post this murder, the accused is still absconding and his details are yet to be ascertained by the police. As per police data, we also have information that there is a suspect, a woman involved in this case, who could be the mastermind who has orchestrated this murder.
We are investigating it. Once we apprehend the accused, I will able to tell you what exactly has transpired for this incident. Already my teams are working there on the field. Everywhere they are, we will crack the case.
So those are the details that have come in. I just want to show you now another angle as far as this video goes. And this is also something, of course, that will raise questions. Because after this man runs out, there are several hostel mates who all emerge shocked by what they're seeing. But what's really, really shocking, and maybe they're in a panic, completely scared, but none of them actually step in there, intervene to help Kriti. None of them try to hold her, try to, help her as she's seen there holding on to her neck, visibly holding on to her neck, asking the girls out there for help. None of them go near her. We get that they're scared, but at the same time, there will be questions about why nobody stepped in there, intervened to try and help young Kriti. Because even when the stabbing is taking place, you can see other girls nearby in the nearby rooms. Obviously, Kriti must have been yelling for her life, and yet nobody intervenes. Maybe it was fear, maybe it was panic. So we don't want to pass a judgment, but it is still shocking that this young girl, all of 22, was lying there bleeding, and no one person goes up to her and offers her any sort of help. Nagarjan Dwarkanath is joining us live from Bengaluru with more details on this. Naga, this incident happened 3 days ago. 3 days, and the killer is still out there. The cops haven't been able to nab him yet.
Well, what we are picking up from our sources is that most likely the accused has fled Karnataka and reached Bihar, is what we are told. A team of police personnel have reached Bihar, is what we are told from our sources from the department. In few hours, by tonight, the accused would be nabbed because of a tip-off that they have received, is what the Bangalore police are saying. They are being tight-lipped about the whole case because of it has sent shockwaves across Koramangala. Akshita, you and I both know that this is the place where a lot of youngsters gather for restaurants, colleges, and PGs as well. The whole of Koramangala is in a shock because how can someone just enter the building, go to the third floor, and stab someone in middle of the corridor? And like you rightly mentioned, the hostel mates were also in shock, and maybe that's the reason they didn't help her also. But what it has sent out a message is that there needs to be more security in terms of PGs as restaurants as well. The security guards will need to do more checks and balances as to who's entering and who's not entering. At least this PG had the CCTV in the corridor so that the accused photo and visual has come out. The Bangalore police has taken this case very seriously, is what we are told. They have already sent a team to Bihar to make sure that the accused is nabbed.
Okay, the accused perhaps is in Bihar, but Naga, do we know anything of the motive just yet? It seems like a very targeted killing. He entered that PG, went straight for 22-year-old Kriti, stabbed her repeatedly and then left. So it definitely seems like, he wanted to kill her. He wanted to ensure that she was, that her throat was slit in the manner that he did.
Well, the motive is absolutely unknown. The police, like I said, is being tight-lipped. They're, in fact, investigating in different angles. Was this a conspiracy? Was there someone who has hired this accused? Or was he a friend of the deceased or the victim? All these angles are being probed into. Until now, the police department is saying, please wait for the official statement. Do not speculate on what the angle or the motive was. So hence, we also have not got any information because the police have been very tight-lipped about the angle or the motive of the case.
All right, Naga, thanks very much for joining us with those details. Nagarjun Dwarkanath, they're tracking all the latest updates coming in on the investigation front. The cops suspect that the accused now, 3 days on, has managed to flee to Bihar. And this is something that we said, that soon after the crime, in all likelihood, the accused would have fled from the city and now is comfortably sitting somewhere else. So far, he's not been caught. I want to bring in Sandeep Anirudhan, who's the convener of Citizens Agenda, a group that looks out really for issues that Bengaluru faces, addresses serious civic concerns as well. Sandeep, the fact that this has happened in a place like Koramangala, I'm sure is shocking for every single Bengalurian. Koramangala is one of those hubs, you have so many youngsters out there. It's always bustling with activity. And the fact that this has happened in a PG in Koramangala will raise serious questions about law and order in the city.
See, this new phenomenon called PGs is very bad news for Bengaluru. I mean, in fact, the term we use for these localities where there are a dense amount of PGs is a PG slum. So basically, these are largely illegally constructed buildings, illegally run PGs, extremely high density of population, lack of security, and you name it, the civic breakdown. It's very bad news for Bengaluru. So this PG slums as a phenomenon has been bad news for the city through and through. And this is not the first time there's been incidents of crimes. In fact, most of these PGs have all kinds of illegal activities happening. There are drug abuse happening, a lot of partings. A lot of these are co-living PGs, but there are no norms as to how they operate. And from what we hear, there's a lot of trafficking incidents, even prostitution happening out of some of these. We don't have verified reports of these, but these are the accusations that are being made about these.
No, sure,
so
but
regulation.
There is, of course, all of these allegations, some of it hearsay also. But regulating PGs and also ensuring security at these PGs, do you think that that's something that the government, the administration also needs to look into here? If there's a boom of PGs, it's because obviously the city is also flooded with young population. And that's why you see these kind of PGs coming in. Regulation, security, do you think that's something the administration, the government must intervene on?
Correct. Precisely. That is where I was driving at. There's so much of lack of regulation in this domain that the government needs to step in and take the bull by the horns and provide regulation. But how will a government do it when just about everything is broken in terms of law and order? Like the construction bylaws are not followed. Where you can have a 3-floor building, they build 6 to 7-floor buildings. There are no setbacks. If there is a fire, trust me, if there's a fire in any of these PG slums, it will not be one building that goes. The entire layout will go up in flames because they leave no offset. There's no ventilation, there's no light. I don't know how most PG dwellers even live in these spaces. Plus, there is a money angle to it. The money flows are from just one or two states, neighboring states, and the money that's being invested to construct just illegal constructions is astounding. I think the ED, where is the ED when you need them? Because they have to investigate these money flows into this PG book in Bengaluru, because they're all coming from black money from politicians, and they don't seem to care about the law. They violate just about every rule.
And you look
and
at
the
this
government
particular
is not
incident. This incident has happened 3 days ago, Sandeep, and is that also concerning? The fact that this has happened 3 days ago, you had a man break into this PG, and this, by the way, doesn't look like it's an unregulated PG simply because it's got cameras, etc., all loaded inside the PG. Security is a big question mark, because at 11:15, this man has managed to break into the PG and attack this young girl, attack this 22-year-old. 3 days on, they haven't still managed to catch the killer. What does that say of the Bengaluru police?
No, the law, from a law and order crime perspective, the police generally, Bengaluru police generally have a good record. But see, that comes in later. And I think a whole lot of PGs, the police have mandated that CCTVs have to be there. But normally security is lacked. See, the ease with which this person entered the building shows there's no security. If we generally take a walk through all these PG enclaves, you'll find that there's no security. Just about anybody can walk in or out. There's no regulation in terms of timings. Obviously, you can't, because adults, you can't restrain them. But then, there don't seem to be much of public security in these places. And they have very dense construction and, market-like surroundings. So basically, what happens, see, some of these things are out of hand. The police can only investigate and arrive at, we hope that the Bengaluru police crack this and, punish the guilty in this case.
Absolutely. But as a Bengalurian, have you concerned seeing this video? As a Bengalurian, do you feel worried that, Bengaluru is now becoming unsafe when you see videos like this coming in, that too from a place like Koramangala?
Yes, it's astounding and shocking that such a public, rather openly and very grossly violent incident has happened, and that it could be carried out in such a dastardly fashion. Also, I'm shocked at the insensitivity of the other residents in the building who, did not even try to prevent the attack from happening, but post the attack, they didn't even try to offer any aid. That was very shocking. I think these kind of settlements, I think the police and authorities should carry out some sort of sensitization measures as to, if people don't even care about their neighbors and don't offer help in times of need, I don't know what kind of a society this is. It's extremely unfortunate.
I agree. This is something that I spoke about too, which is that maybe it was panic, maybe it was fear, but still the fact that this young girl is bleeding out there, you can see her visibly asking for help, nobody goes close to her. They're all in a panic, but nobody goes close to her, which by itself is shocking and perhaps speaks volumes of us as a society. Thanks very much, Sandeep. Appreciate you for joining us here on India Today. 3 days on, like I said, the man you see on your screens who committed that murder is still out there. Police suspect that he could have fled to Bihar. We don't know yet what the motive was. We don't know why he went into the PG in the manner that he did. We also don't know how he managed to pull that off. Where is the security at the PG? Where are the other hostel mates? Why didn't they rush to Kriti's help? Could they have overpowered him? There'll be so many questions. But at the end of the day, we've lost a 22-year-old young girl from Bihar who was living in Bengaluru to earn an honest living. She's been murdered in this brutal fashion, and the killer is still out there. We'll continue tracking the latest updates on this shocking story that's come in from Bengaluru.